So just so that we can at least touch upon the topic that we were going to be discussing with Dr. Brown, I want to just talk very, very briefly about how you can use the two proctoring tools that we have here at UV to make your quizzes and exams more secure. Know also that we are exploring third-party external proctoring services, and this is what I'm hoping that Dr. Brown will talk about in her session that we have postponed. But for now, I'm just going to talk about what we're using internally to help secure your courses. There are some things you do that you can do in the building of your exams and quizzes to secure them, randomizing questions, etc., etc. But we're just going to look at the proctoring tools that we are using right now. So if I go into one of my quizzes, I'm going to just click on this quiz and I am going to edit the settings. You'll notice that when you scroll down through your settings, you have two items in particular: extra restrictions on attempts and Safe Exam Browser. These are the two proctoring opportunities that we can use here in Moodle at this present time. Other things that you might want to do is also limit the times available to take the exam, but we're just going to look at the proctoring tools right now. If you decide to use Safe Exam Browser, you cannot use the webcam identity and vice versa. They don't work together. Safe Exam Browser is what we call a lockdown browser. What does that mean? It means that when the students are using this to take an exam, that software will completely secure their desktop so that they cannot open any other application or windows while they are taking that exam. Moreover, once that Safe Exam browser gets launched, uh, they they cannot use the copy and paste to bring in content from anywhere else other than the screen that they're working on. There are two settings that you can use with the Safe Exam browser. You can either set it to quit when the student has finished the particular exam or quiz, or you can set a password that allows them to exit the quiz exit Safe Exam browser midway through the quiz. On some platforms, when Safe Exam browser ends, when the quiz ends, they are forced to restart all of their applications. So basically, it's a way of securing the student's desktop during the exam. What are some of the things that Safe Exam browser can do? It can prevent them from opening up other applications to copy and paste answers from. Two, it can prevent them from copy and pasting from other spots on the internet. Three, it can prevent them from opening other tabs or other new windows in the browser to copy content from. What it can't do is it can't monitor the student visually so you can actually see what they're doing. Also, it can't prevent students from running an application on another device and mentally copying the information from that other device to the exam that they're presently working in. Good, so that's Safe Exam Browser. When you want to implement it for a particular test, just turn it on. And what you want to do is select yes, use an existing template. Don't use any of the other configurations. And then once you do that, notice that it will automatically ask you to use the UV Safe Exam configuration. Those are the only two things that you want to configure when you're setting this up. I advise to leave leave this one a yes to allow the Safe Exam browser download button to show when the student opens the quiz. That enables the student to access the software if they haven't already installed it when they open up your quiz. Enable quitting of SEB. This is what I was talking about earlier. If you leave this at yes, it means that the students will be allowed to quit the Safe Exam browser during the quiz. I advise that if you leave this at yes, give them a password so that they're forced to document when they leave that quiz. Typically, however, I just leave it as no, so that the only way that they can exit the browser is if they are completely finished the quiz or exam. Question in the chat. Okay, just Mrs. Robinson introducing everyone.
There is a question, Dr. Bethel.
Go ahead.
Does the exam browser allow students access to formatting tools when completing work?
When you say formatting tools, you mean like bold and italics and stuff like that, or do you mean something more
No,
complicated?
Professor says yes. Your first response was what she meant.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what happens is that, and I'm going to see if I can actually let me click that as yes. I'm going to save this and return to the course. Sorry, I should save and display. So I've set this Safe Exam browser to be attached to this quiz. Now I should see something that says this quiz has been configured so that they may only attempt it using the Safe Exam browser. And this quiz is closed, so let me change the dates on this so that we can test it out. Timing, 2025. Save and display. Okay, good. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to sign in as a student. I'm going to go in as Antonio Banderas and attempt to take that quiz. Oh, wait, no, I don't know his login information. Let me change that. Let me go in as another student. And let me just check my test user profile so I know what the username is. Username is I'll go ahead and try the test anyway. So what should happen is that when I click on that test, it will tell me that I have to open up Safe Exam browser. So I'm going to launch it. Oh, you know what? It may ask me it may ask me to close down Zoom. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. It's just going to ask me to close down Zoom. So let me close this off before I try to launch it. Basically, what will happen is just as the student sees a quiz that doesn't use Safe Exam browser, and I'm going to try and find where they have a text input bar. This one will give it. Let's see if I can get another one where I can input. Yeah, let me try this one. Mission status. Oh, yeah, let's see. Let me log out of this. They should see. They should see a box like this with the formatting tool showing up here so that they can format the text any way that they want before they submit it. So that's a long way of answering a short question. Okay, okay, good. So that's Safe Exam Browser. And what will happen is what you saw when I logged in as a student. It closes off everything else, tells the student to log in to Moodle again. Once the test is about to start, it will also close off these activities that capture the other activities that capture the screen, camera, and audio, like Zoom, and then it will start the quiz. Because I clicked no to allow exiting during the test, they won't be able to exit Safe Exam Browser until they work their way all the way to the end of the test and submit those answers. So that's one way we have of securing the exams. The other way, and remember I said you cannot use those together. So I'm going to go into a different quiz now to show you the second way, and that is to use the webcam proctoring, and you go down to extra restrictions on attempts, select where it says webcam identity validation, select must be acknowledged before starting an attempt. What that means is
Mhm.
before,
I'm looking, sorry.
go ahead.
I'm looking with a hands up and I don't see it on my screen. Sorry.
So just go ahead and ask the
Before,
question.
yeah, before you go on. So when I set up the exam and I put on the Safe Exam browser,
Yes,
the student comes in to the exam room. Um, they would automatically be asked then to download the Safe Exam browser, or is this automatically a part of the exam now?
that's a great question. Typically, what we do is for courses that are going to use the Safe Exam Browser as a security tool, we advise that they set a trial quiz. So a quiz with some basic questions like what's your age, what's your name,
Okay.
whatever, with the Safe Exam Browser on so that students can download the software, try out to see and make sure that it's working with their machine at
Mhm.
some time before the actual exam. So for any of the exams that the testing services is running, that's what they do to make sure that students can access the Safe Exam Browser beforehand. We don't want the students to come into an exam room, get on their laptops, and click onto the quiz, only to find out I don't have the software, it's not configured correctly, this, that, the next thing, because then that's a whole other to do in terms of the time that they're allowed in the exam room, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that if you're going to use that, we do advise setting up a dummy test beforehand using the software so that we can walk them through downloading and installing the software and then actually using the software in the exam. We are here to
And
assist with that if you have any questions in terms of getting that implemented for your class.
and would should we assume that every student has the Moodle?
Every student should have Moodle absolutely by their UB email credentials being issued, they have
Mhm.
access to that Moodle account automatically. Again, what I would recommend if you're going to be using anything in Moodle from that first day of class, Make sure that you you go through the students that this is going to be a requirement of the class. Here's log on to Moodle from the UB website. Make sure that you're able to log on so that for whenever you have activities in Moodle, you know that they are able to access that content. You know, whether it be an assignment, whether it be a quiz, whether it be a form, whatever the case, or readings that you may post, whatever the case might be. But just by having a UV email and password, they do have access to Moodle.
And that goes for faculty as well then.
It sure
Because
does. It sure
because
does.
I don't recall seeing it on my computer in the office, but I'll look.
So, okay, well, why don't we go back for that right now? From the very beginning, if you have not been using Moodle and want to
Yeah.
access it, it's very straightforward. The first thing that you do is you just go to the Moodle homepage, sorry, the UB homepage,
Mm-hmm.
select Moodle. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm already logged in. If you are logged into your UB email, you will be automatically logged into Moodle. It may tell you you need to sign in. When you're signing in, it will take you to your normal UB email sign in page. You won't have to go through a Moodle sign in. In fact, you know what? Let me log on and show you what it looks like. So it takes me, oh, I was having trouble logging me out. Sign up. All right, you know what? Let me log out from my email. Sign out. All right, so now I'm completely signed out of all of the Microsoft 365 links. I'm going to go back to my UB homepage and sign in to Moodle again for the first time. When I click Moodle, it's going to tell me I need to log in. When I try to log in, it's going to take me to my email login page. So I click on, that's my correct email. It's going to take me to the University of the Bahamas email login, put in my
Hold on.
password.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I'm going through trying to follow
Oh, I
you.
see. Okay.
And so so I pressed the login and it automatically took me to recently assessed courses and da da da. There's a page there.
Okay, so
Looks
it
like.
automatically logs you in.
Okay.
And so that's probably
Right.
because you already logged in to your email.
Okay. Okay.
Now I can't remember my password now. Oh Lord.
That's okay.
Okay,
Okay.
hopefully that's it. Okay, good. Good, good, good.
And so the student similarly would have something like this.
If they do would do exactly the same thing. And they'll take you
Yeah.
to your recent courses, whatnot. Okay? Good. Some additional questions in the chat.
No questions.
Yeah. Good. So that's a great point that Mrs. Robinson is pointing out. Safe Exam Browser does not work well with Chromebook. So if you know that your students have a mix of devices that include Chromebooks, then we advise that you use the webcam validation instead of Safe Exam Browser. How do I transfer my fall 2024 to spring 2025? Excellent question. Good. So let me go into one of my courses and I can show you how you can pull content from a different course into your current course. The easiest way to do it is to go into your course and click on the cogwheel in the top right-hand corner, Actions menu, and you can use one of two things, but I recommend that you use Import. Click on Import, and then it's going to ask you where you want to import this data from. So I had a course in fall 2023, Introduction to And it should only show you your particular courses. Let me find my course. So, let's see. And this is not the one that I want to copy from. 420, is this it? No. Dash 04. Is it any of these mine? Yeah, this one is mine. Yeah. Fall 2024. No, that was mine. Fall 2023 should have been it. So I'm gonna say it's 272726799. Let me try 267. That is not it. So anyway, once you find the course that you taught before, all right, these are definitely my courses, so I'm just going to copy one of these over. Once you find the course that you want to copy over, and you would put in the semester spring 20 or fall 2024, I don't know, test, is it educational evaluation, whatever the case might be. You find that course, select it, then you would click continue. It asks you, do you want to copy all of this stuff? Yes, you can leave that as is. Click next. And then it will ask you which of the content you want to copy over to your new class. I would advise you could copy over everything, but the one thing that I would suggest that you don't copy over is the announcements, because then you're going to wind up having two announcement sections in your course. So I'm going to deselect that. I'm not going to leave everything else the same. And I am going to go ahead and click next. And then we'll ask you to double check to make sure all of these things you want to copy over. Yeah, this looks good. I want to copy over all of these things. And so then I'm going to click perform import. It should pause for about anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes, depending on the size of the course. And sometimes it gets like 3/4 of the way through and starts to pause like it has done here. And then you might wait 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and then it starts again. When it's finished, it will say continue. And show a green bar saying import complete. If you see a red bar, that means something went wrong. 99.9 times out of 100, everything is fine. Click continue, and you will notice that the course now has all of the content pulled over from the previous course. The one thing that you will need to do when you use this import process is to go into your assignments and make sure that the dates are set correctly. Because when you import a course, it won't automatically update the dates. And so you just need to go in and check and make sure they are all showing up as they should. Looks like many of these are not, and many of these dates are not set anyway, so I don't really have to worry about them so much. But if you have assignments that are dated, then you should go in and check to make sure those dates are the same. Sorry, the dates are changed. So this would be an example here where I say the quiz will be available until that date. I'll need to go in and change that. And then all of these things as well. Okay, does that answer the question?
Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Could you go back to where you found the import again, please? Where did you
Excellent.
go to?
Yeah, absolutely. I would click the right cogwheel, the right settings cogwheel in the top right.
Okay, there.
Import.
Okay.
and then bring the content over.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you. Thank you.
good. Any other questions?
In the chat, how
Yeah,
can you attach files to messages to students?
messages to students. So messages using the Moodle messaging.
Yeah, I guess
Yes,
you want to send a
yes,
file.
yes.
Yeah, the short answer is it ain't easy. Um, so typically, so what sort of files are you thinking of?
So if you want to just attach a particular message to one student or several students, and you wanted to attach a file in that message, like an email, do you have to just go to your email, or if you're using Moodle and you want to do
Uh-huh.
everything in Moodle, how can you send a message with an attachment?
Is it
So
for all students? Or
no,
just
Just
no,
select.
I think I know what you mean. So if I go into this message, if I go into the
Yes,
messages here and I want to send, I want to send a mess. Let's say I want to send a message to Professor Hogg,
hmm
and I want to attach to that message
yes, a
like
file.
a file or whatnot. Yeah, it's not the messaging system in Moodle doesn't doesn't necessarily allow for that.
hmm
I think in the app you actually can, but the desktop version not so much. What
Mm,
it depends. So now it depends what type of files you're thinking of though.
like a
Are you thinking?
A Word document, or
Yeah,
even a
but I
photo.
mean, but for what? But for what purpose?
So if you're sending, if a student asks for help, and you want to send them a particular file to assist them in their question, then uh, yeah, how can
Yeah.
you?
Okay, so there are a couple of ways that you can do that. One of the things that you can do is you can set up. So the short answer is typically for that, I will either set up a chat, and I've seen a couple of other faculty members doing that for help purposes. So I'll quickly show you how you can set that chat up. Oh, I need to turn on editing. And it'll tell you when to put the time in. I'm not going to really worry about that right now. Leave the sessions open. Everyone can view past sessions. And so the good thing about this is that only people who participate in the chat can see the chat. Save and display.
My dear, Happy New Year to you.
Click to enter the chat. And then it will actually allow you to drag and drop stuff into the chat. More effectively, though, what I typically will do is use the forum because the forum allows you you can embed the documents, you can embed videos, all of that sort of thing. So the chat is one way. I don't really use that very much. Other faculty do. I typically will use a forum, a help forum, and there should be one here where they can just add a topic, post it to the forum. You can restrict the forum to particular students if you want. Then they can upload files. They can video answers, audio answers, whatever the case may be. So that's the way that I get around it. But I do see that that is something that perhaps we need to write to Moodle to see whether they can include it. I will also take a look to see whether that feature is available in the new Moodle platform. I don't think it is, but I will check. I will check and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, more questions in the chat.
To clarify the question above, suppose
Yeah.
Professor A wants to import the contents of a course which is taught by Professor B. What's the procedure?
Okay, excellent question. Uh, two ways to do that. Well, there are multiple ways to do that, but there are, let me go through the two simplest ones. The first one, the first way is that you can get the professor in the original course to reach out to us. And when I say us, I mean myself or Mrs. Robinson, and say, uh, I don't know, Professor Mossy has agreed to allow me to use his content from his course. Can you please copy his course content over to my course? And you would give the details of each of those courses. And then we would go ahead and copy the content over. So that's the easiest way for you on your end. The second way is that what you would do again is you would write us to say, can you set um, again, Professor Moxie has agreed to let me use the content from his course. Can you add me to his course as a teacher so that I can now see that content to import it over? The point is, the only courses that you can see to import are courses that you are set up as a teacher in that course. For me, because I'm the site administrator, I can see all courses. But for you as a teacher, you would have to be added to his course as a teacher, and then you could go through the exact same import process that I showed you a second ago. I tend to recommend to faculty this second approach because that will allow you to pick and choose which of the content from his course you want in your course, as opposed to me just bringing everything over and then telling you now you need to go through and just delete whatever you don't want. Does that answer the question, Professor Carmichael?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Any other questions before I go in to show the webcam validation?
Yes, can you
Go ahead.
import course content from Teams to Moodle?
Uh, so it depends what type of content you're talking about.
Let's say you've set up a course already in Teams and you've been using Teams.
The Teams classroom.
Yes, the Teams
Yeah.
classroom. Are you able
So
to import?
yeah, the short answer is yes. The long answer is boy, I wouldn't try it. It's very complicated, to be honest. 'Cause basically, it winds up you having to import a bunch of different stuff separately and bringing it in. There is a bridge between Office 365 and Moodle. I have recommended to OIT that we purchase that bridge, and I am hoping that this semester we can actually test that to see how it works and get it implemented at least by midterm for this semester. But for right now, um, so there is a workaround that you can do, and the workaround is you can just continuously link to the content in Teams from the Moodle site. But what we're hoping to do is create a full integration, which would mean when you sign in to your Moodle course, you can link directly into the Teams site and also other Office 365 products. So like it will allow you to do spreadsheets and all that sort of thing as well. Go ahead, Professor
Okay.
Cartwright. Sorry, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Professor Cartwright.
I was going back to Dr. Carmichael's question. There's another way you could do it by backing up the course,
Yeah,
downloading the
so
file, and sharing the
yeah,
file.
so
So if you're
I specifically did not suggest that method. Um, Not because it doesn't work, but because there are file size limits to content that you can upload to Moodle. And in fact, that used to be the suggested method that we were using. But particularly since we started to incorporate things like H5P and Labster into courses, those wind up creating pretty large backup files. And so you could run into problems when you're trying to upload it to restore the file in the second course. So yeah, you absolutely could do the backup and restore if you are sure that your file is not too large, but that's the experience that we've had in the past.
You're referring to backing up Teams or
No. So if I go to
and
the same settings cogwheel in the top right, and then I select backup, what it's going to tell me to do is to create a backup file of all of the content in my course. I'm not going to select my enrolled users because all I want is the content to use in a different file. I'm going to go next. It'll look exactly like the import, but the only thing, instead of just shifting this content from one course to another, is shifting this content into a zip backup file that then can be used um, to create this course on any other Moodle platform that you have a class in.
okay.
So I'll show you how to do it. But just be warned that you could run into problems depending on what type of content you've used in that file.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Uh,
Dr. Bethel, I
yeah, go
went,
ahead.
I went ahead and I did the copy and everything, and it said successful. I don't see,
Perfect.
I don't see where it is though. It's,
Wow,
I
my
still
Lord.
see a fall 2024.
Did you copied it or you imported it?
I imported, sorry,
Okay,
imported just the same steps you said, and it said
okay,
complete successful. So where did it go?
okay, good. So as soon as this finished, I will try and see if I can find it on my computer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And again, once it gets around 70 or 80, it tends to slow down and it could take 3 or 4 minutes backing up. In the meantime, if anyone has any other questions that I can come to as soon as that I could go to um, as soon as this completes, I could take those now. Or what I could do is while that is still uploading, open up a separate browser, so that I could work on other things while people are waiting for that. Let me open up Firefox. Okay, Dr. Jones, which class is it?
It is educational psychology.
Okay. That's 329.
329, yes.
Spring 2025.
That's showing blank. Didn't import anything.
It didn't import.
No.
So that one is still going. And you went here,
Mhm.
import. Oh, so maybe the course you imported it from was one of the ones that were blank as well. Maybe that's what it is.
No, it had a bunch of stuff in it because I
Yeah,
went
so
looking at
okay,
it.
you actually checked it out?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me make sure I get the right course in. What's the course that you wanted to import from?
Educational psychology.
I mean, which semester?
Uh, Fall 2024.
For this one here, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me just copy this, make sure I get the correct course, and then go back to spring 2025. The other possibility is it might have copied from a different section, one of the other faculty member sections. Let me search this here. Oh, good grief. Courses to display. Let me take this off. Is this what you got also when you tried to copy it?
I actually clicked on the fall 2024 educational
Oh,
psychology.
it just showed up on yours.
Oh, two. Yes, it did.
Okay. And when you click continue, you saw all of the content.
I saw all of the content with my little
Okay.
picture
Yes.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
everything. Uh-huh.
Everything is there. Everything is there. Everything is there.
And I
Good, 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 good.
deselected, yeah, the announcements and everything.
Deselected the announcements. Okay.
Yep, as you
Excellent.
recommended. Uh-huh.
Good. And then went to. Let me make sure this
Next.
other one. Oh, this other one is finished. Okay. Good. Continue. So, all right. I'll come back to that in a second. Let me just deal with this one first. Next. Okay. And you saw all of the stuff was check mark here
Yes.
too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Form import. Okay, I guess we'll find out in another 5 minutes whether this one is
Yeah.
successful.
And it went fast.
If it went fast, then something probably went wrong. No, no, seriously. It
But it was a green box. It gave me a green box,
did
complete.
agree. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, something went wrong. If it went fast, it means that it's just copying nothing. You know what I mean? That's
Oh,
because whenever there's a lot of content, like I saw in your other course, when it gets around 75, it starts to slow down because what it's doing is making sure that the different file names match up. Not the different file names, the different file content matches up from one course to the next. And if there's none of that delay at around 75, 80%, then you can be pretty confident that something went wrong because then there's no need for them to confirm
okay.
content from one course to the
All right.
next.
All right.
Anyway, we'll leave that at 71. I'll check that back in a second. Let's get to the backup process. So once your backup is complete, you'll be taken to this page here, and you'll see this top file is the course I just backed up. Now, the first thing that you need to do is check the size of your restore file. If it is under 100 megabytes, you're good to go. You can download this file, give it to someone else, and tell them that they can restore that file. If, however, it's like this course that I have here, or this course that I have here, which is over 100, those are not going to be able to be uploaded to restore. And you'll notice that some of these are like 300, 272. Those are the courses that I have where I have a big, a lot of H5P content. So if your course has a backup that's larger than 100, it won't work. I'll just quickly download this and show you how you can restore this to another file if you want to use this method. So I'm going to download. I'm going to save to this same Zoom attendance. And while that is, it's done, let me just quickly go back and check. So I'm going to check Dr. Jones' class. And there you go. So it
I
worked
see
this
where I
time.
went wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and fix it.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. But anyway, the content is there now. The content is there now. Just make sure that if like fall 2024, all those sorts of things, you just go ahead and change those. All right, good. So now I've backed up this file. I go back to, this is the course that I want to restore. I'm going to assume that this is a blank course. So, and it's telling me that it should be. So now I want to restore that backup course that I used a second ago. So I'm going to go now, instead of import, copy, or anything else, I'm going to go to restore, and it'll take me to this restore page, and I can just drop my restore file here. I can choose a file, whatever I want to do. I'm just going to drag and drop it because I should have it right here in my downloads. So I'm just going to drag and drop this right here. It's going to tell me that it's uploading. Should be no problem uploading because, as I said, it's lower than 100 megabytes. And it's stalled out. You know that it's finished uploading when this blue line disappears. So almost done. While we're waiting for that, any other questions before we wrap up this general Moodle introduction? Okay, good. Once the blue line disappears, and this now appears as a hyperlink, you can go ahead and click Restore. You'll notice now that it looks almost exactly the same as it did when we imported the course. Once it goes through the same, and hopefully this doesn't bog down. Okay, good. It should look at the same as it did when we backed up earlier. It goes through everything and tells you what you want there. Note though that there's a bunch of X's in the far right. That's because when I made the backup file, I did not include any user info in that content. And so, yeah, all of this is good. All of this is good. All of this is good. I'm going to click continue. And then it's going to ask me whether I want to restore this as a new course, whether I want to restore this into the present course, or whether and merge it with the content, or whether I want to delete the content of this course and then restore. I recommend that you always use the first, okay? We have found there have been numerous, and this is the other reason why I don't recommend people use the backup. people will click on delete the contents of this course and then restore. That will also delete all of your students and anything that your students have done in the course. So I do not recommend using the delete the contents. And that's also why I don't recommend using this method. But if you really are confident with it, select merge. For this case, I want to select, I do want, no, I'm just going to select merge and show you what it looks like. And then I go ahead and click continue. It should tell me, it should ask me whether I want to include all of these things. Yep, all of this is fine. And then it will ask me what I want to do in terms of the course configuration. Again, I would suggest not to change any of these. Leave this overwrite course configuration to no. That way it will maintain your present Spring 2025 settings for your existing course. And then again, you can go in and select the stuff that you want to keep in your course and the stuff that you want to delete. So I want to import all of this stuff. Now you'll notice that when I import this thing, because I didn't delete anything from my previous course shell, I'm going to wind up having duplicates of everything. But it's not a problem. It's a training course, no big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and click restore. You had a comment? Okay. And it's telling me that either my internet connection has just gone super slow or we're in trouble. So I'm going to let that go ahead and restore in the background.
Bigger than any martial arts. Anybody can win. So it's easy. It's not easy. I'm saying anyone can win. So does that mean
Yeah, I'm going to leave that going on in the background. That looks like that's going to take a while. Okay, let's go back to go back to the other course. Does anyone have any? Oh, here we go. Does anyone have any additional Moodle questions before we switch over into the Moodle gradebook? No further questions? Okay, as soon as this restore is finished, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording on this session and then restart the recording so that we can have two separate files, for one for the general Moodle questions and the second one for the Moodle gradebook.
Dr. Bethel, are you able to change the course overview? So for instance, on my dashboard, I see a course from 2021, and then it would go to say 2024, and then maybe 2022. It's not in any particular order. Is there a way that you can change the order so that your current course is always at the top? I know it has recently accessed courses as well.
Oh, in your dashboard, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, there is. So several things you can do. First thing is what you can do is select the filter. So right now, my filter is I'm showing everything. You can decide, you know what? I don't want to, excuse me a second. I don't want to show everything right now. I just want to show my in-progress courses. I could select that. Future courses, past, whatever the case might be. I typically prefer to keep them as all. The second thing then is you can select how you want them ordered. I have them ordered last access. So what this means is that all of the courses that I show that I've clicked on the most recently, those are the courses that show up. However, you can also organize them by the course name, which will give you an alphabetical arrangement of your courses. Many people find that to be more suitable for how the courses are arranged. And you'll notice now that it's going to have an alphabetical arrangement of my courses. The other thing that you can do is you can select whether you want it to show as cards like this or lists. Sometimes if you have a list, it makes things easier to access then. And then you can change the course name to either to go, no, I guess it won't give it Z to A, it only gives it A to Z. You can actually also change some of the configurations for the course overview block here in this section here. And then you can also select to hide this recently accessed block if you don't, if for you it's not helpful. Okay, so there are a number of things that you can do to change the way that the courses are displayed in your block. Just first of all, use the filters, the sorting, and then whether you want to show it as a card or a list, or even as a course summary. Okay, does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay. What class you had open when I did the import? Okay, okay, excellent. Any more questions before we switch over into the Moodle Gradebook? Okay, so I am going to stop the recording. Sorry.